Hello, Loving Without Boundaries community. It is great to be here, and I am excited to be here with Coach B. We have an incredible topic to talk about today, and we also just want to say for those of you in the United States, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving. If you do practice, we will be practicing here over at my house and with family, so that's really a fun time of year. And we hope that with you and your family, whether you're your polycule family or your extended family, that you are doing something where you are leaning into connection and love and just all the things that make life worth living. So with that, if you're new to our community, we want to say welcome. If you've been here a while, we want to say thank you for being here and being part of our community and keeping this a safe environment for people to ask questions, for folks who are maybe coloring outside of the lines of heteronormative monogamy in some fashion. And we do everything we can to help create that safe space. So with that, our topic for today that we're going to unpack is jealousy, which is a normal, natural emotion that does happen often, especially when we're talking about non-monogamy, consensual non-monogamy. And a lot of times people feel a lot of guilt or shame around experiencing that emotion. So some of it is just about learning to understand what it is, that it's just simply a normal emotion, just like anger is a normal emotion, sadness is a normal emotion. So is jealousy. There's nothing to feel guilty about. It's learning how to manage that. So I'd love to give the mic over to B and have you start to just talk about that alongside me.
Of course. Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you, Kiri, on the topic of jealousy, whose expertise in this particular area have so much on my journey. So I want to thank you for giving all your wisdom and having done so for many, many years. And I definitely wanted to express my appreciation before we dive deeper in. And I'm so glad that you started us off with really normalizing jealousy. If I just speak for myself, in a scale of between 1 to 10, I identify as 10 being completely polyamorous by nature, and I struggled so much with jealousy. I also had that guilt and shame around this, that I'm not supposed to feel that way, there's something wrong with me, until I understood that, as you said yourself, this is a completely natural human emotion and a complex emotion. It can be a mix of fear, anxiety, uncertainty, insecurity. So it's really something that can, if it goes unchecked, keep us stuck. The contributing factors of why jealousy rears its head can vary from person to person, but in general, what I can say, I like to address a few contributing factors that can fuel the feelings of jealousy. For example, insecurity, as I mentioned, can play a really important role as feeding the sense of jealousy. And when we think about insecurity, we can approach it from a few angles. For example, having that doubt in ourselves, our worth and value, and keep questioning our worth and place in the relationship, and having this fear of abandonment, that we're gonna get left behind. Another aspect of insecurity can be that we actually doubt our own capabilities. We don't feel confident in our resources, that whatever happens, change can happen really often in CNM relationships, and we might doubt that we have the internal resources to handle those challenges in an empowering way. In a best case scenario, jealousy can look like mild discomfort. In worst case scenario, it can feel like we're losing the sense of control and totally spiraling out of control and completely overwhelmed in the face of challenges. So as I said, it's a complex emotion that can show up on an individual level and a relational level as well. When we start looking into ourselves and unpacking what jealousy can look like or how it can manifest, we obviously can count on the emotional toll that just keeps happening, that constant stress, anxiety, the sleepless nights. And when it goes on for a long time, it can get really into our bodies, because our threat system is being kept online, and that pumps hormones in the body, and that can sadly cause certain health issues as well. In my case, and this is a vulnerable share, I had issues with my skin, my nails, and actually I had internal bleeding in my gut and really serious inflammation because of all the stress that was going on inside of my body. Yeah,
That is
absolutely.
a lot, B. And that was a few years ago?
Yeah, a couple of years ago. Yeah,
Wow.
when I first embarked on my consensual non-monogamous journey. Yeah.
Mhm. That
It,
is
it
so
was a very
much.
difficult place to be. In addition to that, I noticed that possibly many of you notice that when we operate from a place of jealousy, that we can create or perpetuate false and disempowering beliefs. For example, we might feel inadequate if our partner is interested in someone else. We make it about our own worth and value. It might exaggerate greatly this fear of abandonment. It can really contribute to increasing that comparison game that we can end up with, that we're so afraid, we so much question our value that we start comparing ourselves across the board to our partner's interests, let it be looks, financial area, or certain traits, or how we cook, or how we dance, or basically it can be present in all areas of our life. And if it keeps going on and on and on, then we also run the risk of something very insidious that we may not notice, is that we try to resolve the fears inside of ourselves, and we might not notice that we start allowing toxic patterns happening. And we may be stuck in unhealthy relationship patterns with constant arguments, with lack of boundaries, with where the reactivity is there, or the lack of problem solving happens, that we keep putting our heads into the sand and not address particular issues. And with time, things start to fester and grow. And that's definitely a painful place to be in the long term. In worst case scenario, we might be so entrenched in our fear of losing the connection, so entrenched to face that fear of not being good enough, that we're tilting the balance toward getting and keeping the connection at any cost, even to the detriment of our authenticity, of our basic human rights and our autonomy. So we're really talking about a very serious topic, and an emotion that can really get out of control, both on an individual level and on the level of the relationship as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all that, B, so eloquently. Yeah, and with that last point, I just want to highlight that that can also be a sign of codependency showing up in relationships and enmeshment, when a lot of times the definition that I use is that if there is a toxic, harmful nature to individuals who are in a relationship, yet neither one is willing to leave the relationship, that can be a sign of really unhealthy codependency that can chip away at our sense of self-worth, our sense of self-esteem, and we can lose ourselves in situations like that. And that, as B was saying, could be an unfortunate negative consequence to if we are feeling a lot of jealousy and insecurity. And I'd love to just share, thank you for sharing just so vulnerably some of your own experiences, B, with that. And I'd love to just share a little bit of myself in terms of when I had experienced jealousy in my life. Ironically, at first it wasn't in a intimate relationship. It was really showing up in some friendships that I had that really caused me to start to research, where does jealousy come from? It was kind of coming at me from the outside, and I didn't know how to handle it because it was creating a lot of animosity and emotional sabotage in some ways with an individual in my life. But I thought it was interesting that that jealousy showed up first in friendships. But then once I started to practice consensual non-monogamy, then of course it did start to come up where I was experiencing some jealousy and insecurity when my husband first had a relationship where they were being really affectionate in front of me, and the partner that I had was not being very affectionate, and I was just feeling kind of inadequate, and that insecurity was really showing up, and it was very painful. I mean, I was crying in the bathroom. I was doing my best not to project my feelings on other people and to ruin other people's good time. But I knew that I had work to do, which is partly why I continued to go down that rabbit hole of research and finding out how to navigate up and out of jealousy. And that was just a really big part of my journey that eventually led me to writing the book, Jealousy Survival Guide: How to Feel Safe, Happy, and Secure in an Open Relationship, which is how you originally found my work. You first read my book and found me that way, which is the way some people do find this community and this work. Yet sometimes reading a book, it's great, but it may not be enough. So sometimes it can be really powerful to go seek the right professional for the job if you are wanting more hands-on help, whether it's from a coach or a counselor. That can be really powerful, because it's one thing, I often say, to read a book on how to climb Mount Everest, for example, but we can't just read a book and then do that. And with consensual non-monogamy and polyamory, I mean, we're talking about a very complicated, unusual relationship structure where most of us have no role models, let alone good role models of how to do that. And we haven't even been taught how to be in healthy relationships for monogamy and learning how to set up healthy boundaries, let alone been taught how to have a healthy, untraditional or polyamorous or open relationship. It's tricky, it's challenging, and it does require often advanced skills. A lot of people think they know how to communicate, but they don't realize that you might think you're good at communicating, and you may not actually be as good as you think you are, but you also may need advanced communication skills to learn how to get to the heart of the matter, to learn how to talk about what your needs are, how to be vulnerable and talk about your feelings that might be challenging to talk about, or to also learn how to build your emotional intelligence muscle so you can look under the hood of where is jealousy and insecurity coming from, so that then you can do something about it. And we teach tools on how to do just that. So I'd love to give the baton back to you, B, and have you just share any more of your thoughts there.
Yeah, I absolutely love, Kiri, that you highlighted that you noticed that you had work to do, because this is something that I noticed in myself at the beginning as well, and others as well who embark this self-transformative journey, that sometimes blame and resentment can show up its head. Like I feel poorly because my partner is interested in someone else, and we tend to unconsciously create that connection that must be the cause. And with this, the problem goes outside of us, that because this happens, I feel in a certain way that this must be the cause. So you fix yourself, you change yourself, you gotta behave a certain way so I feel better. So I loved really that you brought into the conversation the importance that, okay, what is the work that I need to do? What is where the relationship might need to grow? And that's a completely different area to address than looking under our own hood and taking empowered self-responsibility for our own well-being and up-leveling our skill set. Plus, I also loved how you highlighted the necessity of advanced skills in CNM relationship, that we are not really taught to even have healthy monogamous relationship. What comes to mind to me is that we might have those skills that work in one area, but that those skills might not be sufficient in a completely new area. For example, when someone is a surgeon or a lawyer, that might be necessary that they step away a little bit from their feelings so they can think logically, and that works brilliantly in that area. But in the relationship context, if they show up the very different way, the very same way, like with emotional detachment, that can cause ripples in the relationship, that people can end up in a toxic cycle. So that came to mind, that things might work in a monogamous setup that need up leveling in a CNM relationships if we want to sustain fulfillment in the long term and with resilience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I want to honor you, B, because it takes a special person who is ready to go on that growth journey, who's willing to raise their hand and say, hey, I could really use some extra help here, and I'm ready to do the work that is required. That takes courage and bravery. At the same time, it takes courage and bravery to be coloring outside the lines of heteronormative monogamy. So that's why when we work with people, they usually are people who are willing to step up. I like to say, like, claim their best life and are excited to learn. They are thrilled to build their emotional intelligence muscles, learn how to self-soothe and regulate their emotions. They're excited to learn how to develop healthy boundaries and move away from any codependent or toxic dysfunctional behaviors from the past, and to literally change the trajectory of their life in a positive direction, building on top of that foundation. And that was you, over 2.5 years ago, B. So, and here we are today, like doing a Facebook Live here for our community. So I want to honor you for that. So for those who are watching, if you are realizing that jealousy maybe is been very debilitating to you, or a sense of inadequacy, or I'm not enough, or those insecurities that can come up, and you realize that you are ready to step up your game and build those type of qualities where you're ready to go on a self-reflective journey, or possibly on a journey alongside your partners, and learn how to communicate in much healthier ways, learn how to get to the heart of the matter, and you realize that you also have never been taught how to have healthy boundaries, especially in some different types of ways that we've grown up in our families or religious environments that we find ourselves in when we're young. Sometimes we're actually taught the opposite. We're actually taught to have poor or crappy boundaries. And so a lot of times we are undoing decades of patterns from the past that have not been serving you. So if you are ready to establish healthy boundaries and start to move away from jealousy, first to being a place of neutrality and inner peace, and eventually move over to compersion, which is having happiness and excitement and sympathetic joy when your partner is finding happiness with somebody else. That's what's called compersion, if you're not familiar with that term. That's all possible if you are ready to step up to the plate and do the work, and potentially work within a proven process that can be fun. It can be exhilarating. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but there is enjoyment and satisfaction in learning new skills. So if that is you, I invite you to book a call with me. That's right here at the link that's on the screen, lovingwithoutboundaries.com/apply. If you want to have an authentic conversation and a breakthrough discovery session with me, we'll look under the hood and just see what's going on, what's alive for you right now. I'll help determine alongside you, can I help you? And are you ready and willing to go on that journey of self-discovery and self-reflection, up-leveling your skills and stepping into your most authentic life, so you can feel more inner peace, more confidence, more passion, more love, and in relationships where you're feeling really deeply appreciated and cherished. And also know that you can feel validated, heard, seen, empathized with. That is all possible if you are willing to step up to the plate and do the work. So if you do go to that link, lovingwithoutboundaries.com/apply, that just takes you right into my calendar. Well, you just pick a time that works for you, and then we'll meet on a Zoom call and simply have an authentic conversation. That's all that is. So there's no pressure. It's just a determination of, are we a good fit? Can I help you? And are you ready and willing to have that type of help? And that's what B did over 2.5 years ago. And now we're having this conversation now. So literally, she's living proof that you can literally change the trajectory of your entire life, and also pay it forward, and be a beacon of light and hope for other people. So with that being said, B, any other thoughts you would like to share?
Yeah, I just really want to echo you, Kiri, that it's absolutely possible to get out of the grasp of debilitating jealousy and to move into a place of harmony and balance and build that strong inner core that can stay resilient in whatever challenges might come up in CNM relationships. It's so important sometimes to have the right professional. I personally was so stuck in disempowering feelings and anxiety that I was unable to function. So I needed to raise my hand and reach out to get an expert help, and it absolutely turned out to be a life-changing experience, because instead of this, I'm dealing with this umbrella term of jealousy, that seemed like an unsolvable, huge, massive problem. We started to take it down and pick it apart to solvable specific steps, and that was such a game changer. And it can make such a difference if, instead of using certain tools, or, oh, I'm good because I learned this communication skill somewhere, or I watched a YouTube video, which can be as a cosmetic solution for short term, or it can be more like cutting off the tips of the weed. What is really powerful and saves time and energy in the long run is if we look under the hood and get down to the root of those weeds and just pull them out by their roots. Is how much more wonderful is that to not have them grow back at all. Don't have to do any maintenance and management because they're not there. We can finally enjoy the life and relationships that we wanted. So if this resonates with you, then click on the link and give yourself that chance to have that amazing life that you so much desire and deserve.
Yeah. Thank you. I love that analogy of pulling it out the weeds by the root so that it doesn't come back. So know that the process is simple. Doesn't mean it's easy, but any awesome growth or anything worth having is on the other side of doing that work. I love the quote that we need to do the work to get to the other side of what we really want. And that's just par for the course. So with that, I just want to say again, thank you for being part of our community here at Loving Without Boundaries. We honor you being here and getting the support and the guidance that you need. It is our great passion and honor and privilege also to be here serving you. So thank you for listening or watching the recording. We want to wish you a happy holiday and the start of happy holidays for everyone here, and look for more beautiful content. Don't forget, there's lots of resources under the file section here if you are inside of our Facebook group at Loving Without Boundaries, Healthy, Open Relationships and Lifestyle Freedom. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to come join our Facebook group. You can do that search for Loving Without Boundaries, Lifestyle Freedom and Healthy, Open Relationships. Click join, answer a few questions, and then you can be a part of this community too that is over 13,000 strong and growing. Okay, so with that, we just want to say thank you for watching, and we care about your well-being, and until next time, we will talk to you soon.